when she was in custody, a supervisor and several deputies entered her cell, showed her a printed photograph of her buttocks. The woman expressed concern that the image had been or would be, quote, passed around to the jail.
So, just to give y'all some context, this lady comes into jail, right? And she is basically in a Florida jail, Pinellas County, and she's wasted, probably has a drug problem, and they bring her in. And while she's in the holding cell, they show her a picture of her ass. And she's all fucked up, and she was arrested for disorderly conduct. And she's like, wait, no, please don't show people why. She doesn't even understand how it happens. But wait till you hear how sick it is. And this isn't just dudes. This is high-ranking lieutenant women and men. It just shows you how sick it is. This is a woman that's sick. She's not a threat. She's not hurting anybody. She's sick. Watch this.
There's a lot of irony to that, because how little did she know that her concerns had already happened due to the extreme misconduct of 4 Pinellas County Sheriff's Office deputies. Given the nature of what happened here and the embarrassment to this woman, I'm not going to name her, as her identity, again, just as in the other case, is irrelevant to the deputy's misconduct in this case. However, if you all want to know her identity, you can do a public records request, and the Public Information Office can provide you with her identity. Here's what happened. As I mentioned at the beginning of this case, involves Lieutenant Jason Franjesevic, who has been with the Pinellas County Sheriff's Office for 25 years. Sergeant Carrie Lynn Colosimo, who is a 20-year employee. Corporal Emmanuel Nomikos, a 23-year employee. And Deputy Catherine Cantrell, who's been a deputy for 7 years. To set the context for this, Lieutenant Franjesevic was the shift commander and the highest ranking person on duty. Sergeant Colosimo was the sergeant supervising the booking area. Corporal Nomikos and Deputy Cantrell were assigned to process inmates as they were booked into the Pinellas County Jail. At about 3 o'clock in the afternoon on May 15th, patrol deputies from the Sheriff's Office.
So this is why we don't trust the police, we don't trust DCF, we don't trust any agencies, because look at this. You have a woman who is disorderly, and the most highest ranking officers in the jail at that time are taking pictures of this lady naked, and they walk up and show her. Now, wait till you hear the sickness that they do to this poor lady. This wasn't like a lady that was going crazy and they might have used threats, or they might have, got into a crazy scuffle and used more force than they should have. No. This was a lady that was drunk, out of her mind, disorderly conduct, a misdemeanor, and they're basically mocking her with a picture of her own naked body. Wait till you hear why they have that picture.
It was full, and they were backed up processing new inmates upon the woman's arrival at the jail. So jail personnel told the prisoner transport officer to keep the woman in his van in the Sally Port until they had capacity to process her and complete her booking into the jail. At about 7:40 p.m., more than 3 hours after the woman arrived at the jail and had been held in the van in the Sally Port, her pants came off. The transport officer notified jail staff, and Deputy Cantrell, Sergeant Colosimo, and another female deputy went to the van, dressed the woman in jail uniform pants, and escorted her into the booking area. Lieutenant Franjesevic was present and observed the woman during the intake process, and deputies, contrary to the video evidence, determined during the initial booking process that the woman was uncooperative. The deputies claimed that the woman refused to look at the facial recognition camera. She intimidated staff by staring at them, and that she refused to answer any questions. The video evidence shows that the woman's behavior reflected intoxication and not defiance. I've watched the video. The woman was not uncooperative. She was intoxicated, and some of her reactions were slowed because of it, but their claim that she was uncooperative is just false. And again, the video showed that the woman was glancing at the camera, that she was delayed in her responses, but she was not refusing to answer questions.
So immediately they lie. And they're doing this to a lady that is obviously suffering from addiction, mental health issues, and they already lied. That just shows you they will lie about somebody on a misdemeanor, embarrass them, humiliate them. But this isn't even why they got fired. It gets disgusting. So she's been in a van for 3 hours. Her clothes are barely staying on her. And they say she was threatening them, all because of what type of sick shit they do next. These are sexual predators. And these are the reason why all these chomos and predators and all these piece of shits get treated like they're the victims, and the actual victims get treated like the criminals. Check this out.
In the cells. At about 7:55 p.m., as seen on the video system, the woman walked to the floor drain in the middle of the cell. She pulled her pants down, squatted, and began to urinate into the drain. Over the next 40 minutes, the woman squatted over the drain to urinate several times before then sitting on the bench, leaning forward, exposing her buttocks and her genitals. Upon a review of the video, the investigation determined that the inmate urinated in the drain because she was placed in the cell without a toilet after spending 3 hours in the Sally Port, and that when she exposed her buttocks and genitals, she was doing so because she was trying to pull her pants up while handcuffed behind her back. Despite the fact that the woman was forced to urinate in the drain hole in the middle of the cell and was trying to pull her pants up, at about 8:45 p.m., Corporal Nomikos looked at the monitor, the video monitor of the camera that was in the woman's cell, and observed her leaning forward on the bench with her lower body elevated, exposing her buttocks and genital area. Now, all that is a really, really nice way of saying that she was on the bench and her butt was in the air and she was showing everything, because she's trying to pull her pants up.
So let's get this straight. A woman is coming in there and they have her pissing in a drain with handcuffs behind her back in the intake cell. She's there on disorderly conduct, and the highest ranking officers in the facility are lying, mocking, and completely torturing this woman that is in there for a non-violent, basically a mentally ill drug addiction charge. I've never even been in a holding tank where they don't even have a toilet. Yeah, the toilets might have shit filled up in it. They got this lady still handcuffed, squatting on top of a drain, and they're looking at her ass and her naked body. For what reason? They've already humiliated her enough. And these are the people that protect the chomos. And when you hear about these officers getting hit, you wonder why. Like, oh, nope. There's usually a lot more behind it. It gets worse. And the fact that they only got fired and didn't get charged with sex crimes is even worse. Imagine if anybody else recorded some shit like this in the streets.
Sergeant Colosimo showed Corporal Nomikos her cell phone displaying a photograph of the inmate with her buttocks and genitals exposed, and he also began to laugh about this. So Corporal Nomikos then retrieved the stored video of the woman in the compromised position, showing her buttocks and genitals, and he freeze-framed that on a different computer monitor, a larger monitor on the booking desk, in an area that could be easily seen by deputies, inmates, and anybody else passing by. Corporal Nomikos stepped aside so Sergeant Colosimo could view it, and she laughed and said, "Look at his face," referring to a deputy in the control room who could see the video monitor. Freeze framed on the computer for anyone to see while inmates and staff moved through the area for an extended period of time, well over an hour. Later, Lieutenant Franjesevic came back to the booking area, and Deputy Cantrell showed him the photograph of the woman in the compromised position on her cell phone, while the same image remained displayed on the computer screen. So the lieutenant comes back, the image is up on the computer screen, and Cantrell shows it to him on her phone as well. In response to Deputy Cantrell